NBC4 News at 5 with Chuck and Colleen.
All right, Michael and Carolyn, and now at 5, we are following several breaking news stories at 5. We start in Van Nuys, where detectives are on the scene of an officer-involved shooting. At least one suspect hit by gunfire.
And the area, as you can see, is obviously a mess for anybody trying to get home right now. Eliana Moreno is over the scene in News Chopper 4. Eliana?
LAPD detectives just arriving on scene of this officer-involved shooting that started just around the 4 o'clock hour. This all started near Sepulveda and Sherman Way when LAPD officers of the Van Nuys division spotted this car. That car came back as a stolen. There were 3 people in the car. LAPD officers started following the vehicle, and it made its way over here to Kester and Sherman Way, where an officer-involved shooting occurred. One of the 3 people in the vehicle was shot. That person was transported to the hospital by LA City Fire in unknown condition. The other 2 people were taken into custody. No officers were hurt in this exchange, but now Sherman Way, a major street through the area, is blocked off from Sepulveda to Van Nuys. That's the latest from over Van Nuys in News Chopper 4. Eliana Moreno, back to you in the studio.
All right, Eliana, we're also keeping an eye on this gas main break. This is forced evacuations at Pomona College in Claremont. It's happening at a construction site on the campus. In fact, we just got off the phone with the gas company, and they told us they've sent out a special team. In fact, they've just arrived on scene there. They're going to try to shut off the line. We'll keep updating you on their progress throughout this newscast.
As we say, this is definitely a busy day for breaking news, and now more out of downtown Los Angeles, where a verdict was reached this afternoon in the trial of a man who killed Gabriel Fernandez. He tortured that little boy because he thought the youngster was gay. Just a few hours ago, a jury found Isauro Aguirre guilty.
NBC4's Patrick Healy is live for us. He's downtown inside the courthouse this afternoon. Patrick.
Chuck and Colleen, this verdict comes 4.5 years after Gabriel's death. It took jurors 6 hours to reach their decision. The clerk, but half a minute to read the verdict. The killer, Isauro Aguirre, stared straight ahead, unflinching.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Isauro Aguirre, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree.
Convicted not only of murder, but of torture of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez, his companion's son, who lived with them in their home. After the verdict, prosecutor John Hatami hugged Gabriel's biological father, and so did Detective Tim O'Quinn. A private moment, but Hatami shared the emotion.
I'm a dad. And he's a dad, so sorry. It was just feeling like he got justice.
Also in the courtroom, a friend of some of Gabriel's relatives, relieved but still grieving.
It's not quite a win, because the win would have been Gabriel's still alive, but it is, in fact, we no longer have to worry about this particular person.
What happened to Gabriel in his own home, beatings, being shot with BBs, being forced to sleep overnight gagged in a cubicle, had triggered outrage. The prosecution called Aguirre simply evil.
Very difficult. I'm human and I'm a dad.
From the prosecutor, a startling revelation. He survived child abuse in his own childhood.
The most important job, like I said in closing, is to be a dad.
Aguirre's defense contended he did not mean for Gabriel to die. Afterwards, Aguirre's mother said she still loves him. No one is defending him, she said. Not even his own lawyers are defending him like they should, unquote. Aguirre will remain in custody as attorneys prepare for the next phase of the trial, which will determine if he should be put to death. And the most lenient possible sentence for Aguirre would be life without possibility of parole. Now, Gabriel's mother, Pearl Fernandez, also faces a murder trial for his death next year. But first, the penalty phase for Aguirre. Live on the 12th floor of the Foltz Criminal Justice Center downtown, Patrick Healy, NBC4 News.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick. As Patrick just mentioned, next up will be that penalty phase, and the NBC LA app has an in-depth look right now at evidence and testimony, which will, of course, be a factor in Aguirre's sentencing during the penalty phase. We also have a timeline of the events. All you have to do is search Gabriel Fernandez.
Right now, the man at the center of a SWAT standoff that prompted a school lockdown is finally in custody. For hours today, parents worried about the safety of their children at Myler Street Elementary School just across the street.
Outside the school for us tonight, McCullough Medina. Mac?
Hey guys, the house in question is still surrounded by crime tape right now, even though that suspect surrendered just a couple of hours ago after a tense afternoon that brought parents out here, parents of children that went to that elementary school worried about their kids. Take a look at this video. Those parents were sent to a nearby middle school where they had to pick up their kids after they were bused just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's still unclear why deputies were called out to the scene here, but when they arrived, they say the suspect opened fire against the deputies. Luckily, no one was hurt. We talked to parents who were relieved to be reunited with their kids, and some school kids who say the suspect opened fire while they were in the playground.
It was right across the street while we were at recess. It's like the one shooting was on this side, so the gunshots were coming towards our yard.
They told us quickly out of a sudden to lock the doors and to stay away from the windows. So I was really scared about what happened.
He was a little scared. He was crying. I don't know if they were going to give him ice cream inside. Were they going to give you ice cream, Jameson? Huh? I'm going to take him home and give him ice cream now.
And you can see just how shaken up a lot of these kids were. Remember, these kids were elementary school, so kindergarten all the way to 5th grade, 5 to about 10 years old, we're told. As for that suspect, he is in police custody right now. It's unclear exactly what he'll be charged with. We're live in Torrance. I'm Medina, NBC4 News.
All right, Mac, well, this one is kind of unusual. One car, but 2 pursuits within 24 hours. Behind the wheel of the white Ford, a woman who's wanted for DUI.
What kind of mannerism she's doing and stuff that may be related. Well, that wasn't too polite, but she gave them the one-finger salute.
Well, the original call that came in on this was for erratic driving. Highway patrol officers gave chase from Sun Valley to Valencia. We had it live for you on the NBC4 News. And it ended with officers spinning her car sideways. And they rushed in, made the arrest. Now, the CHP says they were involved in a pursuit last night with that same car. There it is, when the pursuit was called off.
Authorities investigating yesterday's deadly shooting spree in Northern California made a gruesome discovery today. The body of the shooter's wife found hidden under a floor in their home. NBC4's Conan Nolan live in the newsroom right now with more on this developing story. Conan?
Hello, Colleen. Well, he was well known to authorities in Tehama County. He was well known to neighbors who said he was violent. His family, they say he was mentally ill.
He needed better mental health care.
Sheridan Orr of Raleigh, North Carolina, the sister of 44-year-old Kevin Jason Neal, the man deputies say who went on a shooting rampage yesterday in the rural community of Tehama Ranch, 130 miles north of Sacramento, killing 5, injuring 10 others. Among the targets, an elementary school.
And to think that somebody you know and love and lived with for 20 years would drive a car to a school. It's heartrending.
Investigators believe the murder spree started Monday after discovering the bullet-riddled body of Neal's wife.
Cut a hole in his floor and literally just put her body in the floor and covered it up.
The gunman was out on bail following an arrest for assault when he shot and killed 2 neighbors whom he had apparently been feuding with. He then started shooting into a nearby elementary school, a bullet striking a student now in critical condition.
I said, hey, why don't you shoot this way instead, you know?
Jesse Sanders and a school custodian purposely drew fire, which gave school staff time to lock doors and barricade the children inside.
When he started chasing me, I guess he popped off a few more rounds and I didn't even know I got bit.
School Superintendent Richard Fitzpatrick.
Love and kindness, paired with the ability to professionally do what they did, defeated evil yesterday.
The assault lasted 25 minutes and ended with deputies shooting and killing Neal, whom neighbors say they had repeatedly complained about, saying he would fire hundreds of rounds from his home. The sheriff's department admits they had been to his house, but that he never would come to the door, so they would leave.
We can't anticipate what people are going to do. We don't have a crystal ball.
A lot of folks in that community upset. They think that police or sheriff's deputies should have known. In any case, the sheriff's department says he was not supposed to legally possess weapons, but he was indeed possessed 2 assault rifles as well as high caliber magazines. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
Thank you, Conan. A public apology this morning. The 3 UCLA men's basketball players arrested in China for shoplifting faced reporters for the first time since returning home, and they learned how they'll be punished. NBC4's Gordon Tokamatsu is live for us in Westwood tonight with the apology and what happens next. Gordon?
Well, Chuck, we did it and we're sorry. That was the message from all three players during a carefully managed news conference here at Pauley Pavilion today. So the question is, what will their ultimate punishment be? And the answer is, we don't know.
I feel terrible, and I'm sorry to everybody who I've let down.
To the fans, to the university, to the U.S. and to China.
This does not define who I am. My family raised me better than that.
They apologized. Carefully written statements delivered by LiAngelo Ball, Cody Riley, and Jalen Hill, all admitting what we've been hearing for the last 9 days.
Sorry for shoplifting. What I did was stupid.
I take full responsibility for the mistake I have made, shoplifting.
Stealing in a country where such crimes are very serious. In a tweet this morning, President Trump claimed they could have been sentenced to 10 years in jail if he hadn't intervened for their release.
Thank you to the United States government and President Trump for your efforts to bring us home.
We checked UCLA's online student code of conduct, which features a section on theft. It applies to stealing that happens on university premises, but also includes official university functions. But would a Pac-12 basketball trip in Hangzhou, China fall under that definition? If it does, university officials could consider a number of penalties, including dismissal from the school.
As we continue to review the matter in collaboration with the Office of Student Conduct, as we do with all cases related to misconduct for students.
Of course, these students are part of UCLA's legendary athletic program, and critics, including some right here on campus, say they should receive whatever punishment any other Bruin might face. For now, though, their indefinite suspension applies only to basketball. No travel with the team, no suiting up for practice.
They will cooperate fully with the university review of this matter and will use this time to focus on their academics.
The players and coach did not take any questions from reporters. They did tell us, though, that charges in China were ultimately dropped, and Chinese officials even refunded some $2,200 in bail money. Live at UCLA campus, Gordon Tokumatsu, NBC4 News.
Man from South LA has been arrested for allegedly threatening deputies and others who work at the Inglewood courthouse. 42-year-old John Hale, who likes to be called Frost K Blizzard online, made those threats on the web in May. Hale could face up to 50 years in prison if he's convicted on all of those charges. He claimed to be affiliated with ISIS, but investigators say there's really no indication that's true.
More twists in the saga of Alabama's Senate candidate Roy Moore. His campaign is now trying to cast doubt on one of the women who has accused him of inappropriate sexual advances. Beverly Nilsson said that Roy Moore sexually assaulted her when she was 16. Well, now, Moore's attorney wants a handwriting expert to come in and examine a high school yearbook Nelson said was signed by Roy Moore.
And do you still hold that everything written in that yearbook was written by Judge Moore? Or was it written by somebody else? That's not an allegation, it's a question.
And today, 2 more women came forward to accuse the Senate candidate of inappropriate sexual conduct, according to an Alabama news outlet. Roy Moore has consistently denied all of the allegations.
We have a developing story we're covering out of Boyle Heights, an Amber Alert in effect for this 15-month-old baby boy. Now police are offering new details to help get him home safely. Also, a Southwest Airlines pilot arrested just before getting on a flight that was destined for LA. The alarming discovery that landed him in handcuffs.
And the NBC4 Live Doppler Network is pointing to 2 opportunities for rain, and between them, a Santa Ana wind over your weekend. We have lots to cover. We're doing it in my First Alert forecast just ahead.
Tens of thousands of you got it on your cell phones several times. An Amber Alert early this morning for a missing Boyle Heights toddler apparently kidnapped by his own father. NBC4's Kim Baldonado is live for us in Boyle Heights right now, where she's gathered some new information about the boy's whereabouts. Kim.
That's right, Chuck. Just moments ago, the LAPD told us they believe both the father and the child are in Mexico, specifically the state of Sonora. The father is a citizen of Mexico. Take a look at the photo. It's been more than 24 hours since Noe Reyna has been seen. The 15-month-old was taken by his father, Carlos Ivan Reyna Lara. Police do not believe the child is in imminent danger, but the LAPD got involved because both of the child's parents lost custody yesterday due to a drug-related related offense. When the Department of Children and Family Services went to the family's Boyle Heights home, both Noe and his father were gone. The two were last seen in the 2000 block of East 4th Street in Boyle Heights. Carlos Lara was on foot, and his car has been located here in L.A., so it's unclear how he got to Mexico and whether anyone helped the two cross the border. Now, LAPD says they are working both with federal agencies here in the U.S. and law enforcement in Mexico. Reporting live from Boyle Heights, Kim Baldonado, NBC4 News.
And a Southwest Airlines pilot facing charges tonight after a loaded pistol was actually found in his carry-on luggage. The 51-year-old pilot was arrested early this morning before he boarded his plane at the airport in St. Louis. That flight was bound for Las Vegas, then eventually Los Angeles. TSA says the pilot didn't have any kind of authorization to carry a firearm. Southwest says they are aware of the arrest. They are working with authorities.
And we have some new details of the search for a serial killer in Tampa, Florida, spotted on video near the scene of two deadly shootings. The police chief told reporters today that a man was seen on the surveillance video near the scene of the shootings that occurred at late Monday night, actually. Left a 60-year-old man dead. They say the same man is seen on video from October 9th near another murder. In all, they believe that he's behind 4 deadly shootings in the area. The reward has now been increased up to $91,000.
Police in the Bay Area looking for a man captured on video carrying out a racist attack on a commuter train. Take a look.
Yeah.
The clip of this incident on Monday night has gone viral. In it, you see the suspect yelling racial slurs at the victim. Hits him at least twice in the face by our count. After staying calm through most of it, the victim eventually gets up and confronts the attacker, but that's when some of the other riders step in, get him to reconsider.
Well, you might have seen this thick black smoke rising out of the Wilmington area today. Beneath the smoke, flames from a fire at a salvage yard. It was on East M Street. Firefighters got there just in time to save some nearby homes. It took them about 45 minutes to put the fire out, and they had to contend with exploding canisters and tires as well. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
All right, the NFL shaking things up here on NBC4 tomorrow afternoon. An all-new Ellen will air at 2 o'clock. NBC4 News will air a special time at 3 o'clock. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt will air at 3:30, and then once again, we've got you covered with the NBC4 News at 4. That will be followed by the NFL coverage of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. The game starts at 5. You can always check out our programming guide. You can find that at NBCLA.com.
And of course, we always have you covered with the weather and Fritz Coleman as we take a live look at Long Beach. Fritz?
All right, second, even though we had the shade of the upper mid-level clouds off the Pacific, we were as warm today as we were yesterday, just by a couple of degrees. Still, some of the warmer spots from the San Fernando Valley to the Inland Empire communities were 80 plus at their warmest today, and still very pleasant this afternoon. Van Nuys is still 75, as is Ontario and San Bernardino, 70 downtown, 72 Long Beach, and 72 at Anaheim. 4 things to watch. We have a late rain chance Thursday into early Friday morning. It will be of no consequence. It's just hardly worth talking about. We may do the same thing on Monday. We're also looking at a weekend weak Santa Ana wind. That is, winds will blow offshore, northeast to southwest, but be generally below wind advisory level. That is 15 to 25, 30 miles an hour. Now, the real consequence of this very weak offshore wind will be warmer temperatures. The temps will bounce back up from where they sit on Friday, one of the coolest days, by about 10 degrees. It'll be a beautiful weekend. Some gusty winds in the canyons and passes. Then another slight rain chance late in the day, Sunday into Monday. Not much to think about as well. We have a lot going on in the Pacific Northwest. We have a big trough, which is spinning the moisture counterclockwise and spinning off some weak frontal systems that aren't strong enough or wet enough to bring much action farther south in Santa Barbara County. As a matter of fact, most of the measurable rain is saying San Luis Obispo County and northward. Here's the futurecast. Here's a look now at the morning commute tomorrow. We can see the building clouds. By 7 or 8 o'clock, will already be mostly cloudy everywhere south and west of the mountain ranges. And then look at early tomorrow morning, about 9 o'clock, we're starting to see some action up in the Ventura County Mountains and the western Los Angeles County Mountains. By 10 o'clock at night, some of this evolves into the San Gabriel mountain range, barely makes it across the 15 into the San Bernardinos, and then gone. If you're one of those spots, And one of those spots ought to be the upslope areas, the foothills of the mountains. You probably won't get much more than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Hardly worth calling a storm. And we may do that same configuration late Sunday into Monday. We'll have another no burn day tomorrow. So in your fireplace, no real wood, no wax logs, no outdoor fire pits, please. We have some inordinately bad air quality these days. Low 70s in the Antelope Valley tomorrow, 56 degrees in the San Gabriel's at Wrightwood. Mid and upper 70s, maybe 80 degrees in the warmer Inland Empire Valley communities. Elsinore at 80, 79 at San Bernardino. Inland Orange County goes mid, some upper 70-degree temperatures. We'll go 78 at Mission Viejo, Santa Ana and Anaheim, 77 with low 70s along the coast. Inland Ventura County, beautiful mid 70s, 76 Santa Paula and Ojai. Downtown LA, 76, same for Sherman Oaks. 7-day forecast, your mountains are on top. Just a minuscule rain chance late Thursday into Friday morning. Big recovery everywhere to a beautiful weekend, 52 and 59 in the mountains. High desert tomorrow goes 72. Then by Saturday and Sunday, 65 and 72, and even warmer Monday. Valleys of the Inland Empire on top, 72, mostly cloudy your Thursday number, partly cloudy 71 on Friday with that rain chance. And then look at this bounce back up to 78 both weekend days, beautiful. Valleys of LA and Ventura County go 76 for Thursday, as cool as the upper 60s Friday, but a nice return to 78 both weekend days and 76 degrees on Monday. The coast will go 74 tomorrow and 77 and 75 for the weekend numbers. Downtown LA and Inland Orange County communities, mostly cloudy skies, about 76 tomorrow, down to 70 on Friday. Really, that's all that we'll get from the front is some clouds and some cooler temperatures, very little rain. Then 78 and 77 for Saturday and Sunday, looking good. Back in a few minutes with your 3-day planner. Have a good evening. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Fritz. Still ahead, Tesla is facing racial discrimination lawsuit. Why a former employee now says the electric car company created a hotbed for racist behavior.
And straight ahead here tonight, how the rising rent costs here in Southern California could be creating a path to poverty for future generations. No surprise here that living in California will cost you. But now a new report explains how those sky-high housing costs are actually affecting generations. Nearly a quarter of young kids in California live below the poverty line. That's about 700,000 kids, all under the age of 5. According to the new data from the Public Policy Institute of California, those parents and guardians are spending more than half of their income on rent. The report offered solutions like expanding California's safety net programs for earned income tax credits.
Heads up, if you ride Metro LA, there's a tap card outage going on right now. The machines simply are not accepting credit or debit cards during this network outage. So if your car is loaded with the fare, you will still be able to use it. The issue is reloading the cars. We've called Metro for an update, but we haven't heard back yet.
It's a fire alert program that is supposed to help you evacuate in time, but NBC4 has exposed some glaring flaws here. Now our I-team follows up and uncovers new changes that could keep your family safe.
Heads up, if you use rideshare services like Uber or Lyft, the NBC4 I-team has uncovered hidden fees you could be paying without knowing it. That's coming up on the NBC4 News at 6. Long shadows and flashlights. Breaking news in Inglewood, where police are looking for the person who stole a car and may be hiding on the roof of somebody's home.
This is near Welton and Hyde. Ileana Marino over the scene in News Chopper 4. Ileana, I would think it would be hard to hide out on a roof, but apparently not in the dark, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Colleen. So we had this stolen vehicle that was being followed by the Inglewood Police Department. The driver of that vehicle crashed, and after he crashed, he took off running, but he abandoned his 2 male passengers inside of the car, and the LA County Fire Department had to use the jaws of life to extricate those 2 passengers. They are now on their way to a hospital in unknown condition, and now the Inglewood Police Department is looking for that stolen vehicle suspect who, as you said, was last seen jumping from roof to roof here in the area, again near the intersection of Hyde Park and Welton Way. That's the latest from over Inglewood and News Chopper 4. Ileana Marino, back to you in the studio.
Emergency alerts. They could save your life or someone you know, but there have been major concerns in Los Angeles, and today we followed up to see what changes have been made since we first started asking questions.
NBC4's Lolita Lopez and the I-team first brought you this story last month, and tonight She's back with more. Lolita?
And folks, we're talking about the wireless emergency alerting system, which is run by the federal government. Now, cell towers are used to target who receives these types of warnings. Local emergency officials create and send out the alerts. And today, there are new changes for you, although you may have to wait a bit.
WIA gives us a phenomenal capability to be able to reach the public in a quick and efficient manner.
The NBC4 I-team went back to the LA Emergency Management Department, where wireless emergency alerts, or WIAs, are sent to mobile phones in situations of imminent threat. This WIA by Orange County called for mandatory evacuations when the Canyon Fire 2 broke out in October.
Gotta get out of here!
In Northern California, officials did not send out a WIA during this recent deadly fire because they did not want to cause a traffic jam. LA City's Chris Ibsen explains what can happen with these types of messages.
People that maybe are not in the impacted area may get that message.
Last month, the NBC4 I-team showed you the letter California Senators Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein sent the Federal Communications Commission, asking why rules proposed last year to enhance the system run by FEMA never happened. After the rules were adopted, the FCC asked for public comment and additional proposals. As of November 1st, all WIAs must include geo-targeting, a way of delivering content based on geographic location. And the 5 largest mobile service providers must provide clickable embedded references. Think of a map that can pop up on your mobile phone during an evacuation order. But
for the wireless emergency alerts, we are limited to 90 characters, so we cannot put embedded messages in.
The FCC says the deadline to support another rule, increasing WIA message links to 360 characters, is May 1st, 2019. In the meantime, testing like this today continues.
We look forward to working with our FEMA partners to make it a better system.
And the senators say the FCC did not answer their questions about a specific timeline for action. They say they will closely monitor to make sure improvements are made. The city recommends people sign up for Notify LA Alerts, which is an opt-in system based on your zip code that can, for example, send messages with those embedded items. For more information on this, go to our NBC LA app and search Alert. Colleen?
All right, Lolita, thank you for that. Talk about an ironic situation in Baldwin Hills. DWP crews spent the night repairing a sinkhole after one of its own trucks fell in. This happened last night on Don Malago Drive. 6-inch pipe, cast iron pipe, burst, disrupting water service to dozens of people who live nearby. Everything's back up and running at this point. This, though, is the second break in the same area in just 2 days.
We're learning more tonight about the arrest of a 14-year-old boy accused of sending violent threats in Orange County. They were uncovered in Snapchat and Instagram posts. NBC4's Vicki Vargas is live in Anaheim right now at one of the schools targeted. Vicki?
Yeah, Chuck, and when this school got out this afternoon, we talked to a number of parents and students. Some parents still remain a bit nervous. Others say they're going to use this moment to teach their child that this is a safe place, and that is exactly what crisis counselors advise. Asia Gortora showed us one threat captured in a screen grab. She says it made the rounds today at Western High. The text message says, "I'm going to put a bullet between your eyes." Then later, "I'm coming at 10:30. Be ready to die." Anaheim police say it is one of many online messages they are investigating to determine if it was written by the 14-year-old now in custody or by someone trying to instill more fear on this campus.
The kid did get arrested, but you just still never know who else is behind it.
This is an empty threat, but it's empty until something happens.
Western High is one of 4 schools where police are patrolling today. Cypress, Buena Park, Magnolia, all named in the same threat. Crisis counselors say this is the time when parents need to talk to their children.
Always talk to kids about what they're seeing in social media.
Then, say experts, assure your child.
The adults around them are doing everything to keep them safe. That is always a very important message to give our children, is that you have a group of people to make sure that you're safe. That's always our priority. They need to hear us say that.
And if they see a threatening text or video, teens need to know turning that person in is helping them.
Holding everything, your thoughts and your fears inside, oftentimes makes it worse. So we want to communicate to our children that they need to talk to somebody.
Still, parents at Western High told us many will keep their kids at home Friday, the targeted date of the threatened shooting.
These things aren't going to end because there's always somebody that's going to make a threat. We can't live in fear, but we can avoid something if at all possible.
And so Deanna tells us her daughter Brandy will not be at school Friday, nor will Asia, the young lady you met at the beginning of this story. District officials not sure how this will impact attendance later this week. Live in Anaheim, I'm Vicki Vargas, NBC4 News.
New at 5, youth advocates are urging state lawmakers to ban pepper spraying and shackling at juvenile jails. Today in Sacramento, the State and Community Corrections Board met with lawmakers to discuss the issue. The board says pepper spraying and shackling can put unnecessary fear in kids.
It's a tool that's being used to perpetuate fear in the hearts of our youth. And that I don't agree with. I'm a big believer in self-empowerment, and I'm a big believer in, giving our youth the tools to be successful.
Juvenile jails in San Diego and Santa Clara were recently accused of abusing the use of pepper spray in order to intimidate incarcerated kids.
A former Tesla employee is now suing that company, alleging that he was called a racist slur. He describes the Fremont, California factory as, quote, a hotbed for racist behavior. The San Jose Mercury News reports that Marcus Vaughn filed the discrimination suit on Monday. He was fired last month from the company. 3 other black employees filed similar legal actions earlier this year. Tesla has not commented on the lawsuit. UCI Irvine will be the new home of multi-million-dollar art collection. A Newport Beach developer, Gerald Buck, was the owner of the art. He died in 2013. The collection includes more than 3,200 original works. UC Irvine plans to exhibit the art along with other pieces in a new museum to be built on campus. School hack attacks coming up. How cyber criminals are targeting school districts, threatening to harm your children and hold their personal information hostage.
They are called the Queens of Troy, and they are helping the homeless. These are the official hostesses of USC. Today, nearly 50 of them gathered in front of Hecuba, a new Trojan landmark at USC Village. They are guarding the Hecuba until the game is over against UCLA. But while they're doing that, they are also collecting hygiene products for the homeless women in Los Angeles. The game is set for Saturday, in case you're interested, at the Coliseum.
Cards Against Humanity, the self-described party game for horrible people, is buying a piece of the U.S.-Mexico border, or at least land next to it. This is part of the game company's holiday marketing campaign. For $15, you can sign up on a special site to buy a plot of land next to the border. The goal here? To stop the president's border wall. This is the company's first holiday campaign with a political purpose.
Stopping an active shooter, what a witness did to save lives when customers came close to a man with a gun.
I'm John Kenny's Clemac in Studio City. Marijuana in the state of California is going to be legal come January 1st, but will you be able to walk into a dispensary and start buying? I'll tell you, coming up.
California's recreational pot laws go into effect January 1, and right now, LA dispensary owners are lining up to get a piece of the pot, if you will. They're trying to get a recreational license so their businesses won't be shut down. NBC4's John Caddy's Clemac live in Studio City right now, where he's talking to a shop owner who's been in business for about 12 years. John.
Also trying to get a piece of that pot. I see what you did there, Colleen. There is a lot to be done before that January 1st deadline, and not just for the city of LA still working on the regulations, but for dispensaries as well. They have a lot to do too before you can pop your top and get your weed.
I've been waiting a long time for January 1st.
Calvin Fry owns the Compassionate Caregivers of Studio City Cloneville Dispensary and has been involved in the pot business since 2005. He's one of the OG dispensaries, to put it bluntly. One of LA's 135 dispensaries operating above board now and on the priority list for licensing when marijuana is legalized for recreational use on New Year's Day.
Everyone else that's not included in that 135 they're operating illegal right now as a Proposition D.
And that's where part of the problems are going to arise come January. LA has nearly 2,000 dispensaries, but only 135 of them are legal. The others face forced closure until their licenses are approved.
I don't think we'll be ready January 1st, but we will probably be near.
Calvin's been part of the local dispensaries hoping to help LA City Council come up with laws regulating the industry, which is expected to bring more than $1 billion to the city's economy in the first year. But if you think you can just walk in and buy a joint on day one, you're wrong.
Okay, I'm 21. Give me some OG Kush. Doesn't happen that way.
Every dispensary has to wait until that day to even apply for a license, first locally and then with the state. And prices are about to jump too.
The prices on the recreational cannabis will be higher and the medical will be a little lower, but it still will have to compensate for the new taxes.
It seems everyone wants a piece of the pot, upwards of 25% in state and local taxes. Willie Brown told us he worries about the cost for his back pain meds, but says he's curious to see if he'll save money somewhere else.
I guess sort of help keep the jail population down.
And on that note, it's interesting to note that City Council every week seems to be doing something different. Next week, they're going to be voting on amendments to the current law that they have in place right now that they want to have starting January 1st, where they want to make sure that people with marijuana convictions actually get a priority to get licenses to start marijuana businesses. They say because the war on drugs was disproportionately attacking certain parts of our community, they say that these people also need to make sure that they can get a piece of that pot. For now, we're live in Studio City. I'm John Kelly Sleemack, NBC4 News.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you, John. A patient who escaped from a psychiatric hospital in Hawaii has now been captured in Northern California. And the question now is, how did he escape and make it all the way to the mainland?
Oh, my God. What a walk.
Randall Saito was acquitted of a 1979 murder by reason of insanity, and he was committed to the Hawaii State Hospital. Video from a cab company shows him picked up before flying off to San Jose. Deputies in Stockton managed to arrest him. That was around 10:30 this morning after a tip from an alert cabbie.
On behalf of the Department of Health, I want to acknowledge that this incident was a result of a major breakdown in our Hawaii State Hospital staff protocols, procedures, and guidelines.
But it took about 8 hours to identify law enforcement that Saito was missing.
New tonight, a business owner being called a hero after he drove his car into a man who had opened fire at a nearby dollar store. This happened on Tuesday near Buffalo, New York. Mark Pinavueva says he saw the man putting a rifle on the ground. That's when he drove across a grassy median and hit the gunman. He was actually thrown into the air, hit the street, but took off on foot before he was eventually caught by police.
Some people have, they've talked about it this week with all the school shootings and the mass shootings and stuff like that. The run, hide, and fight. Yeah. Some people have it in them to fight first.
The suspect was wearing an armored vest. 2 AR-15 rifles were found in the parking lot. One person was wounded by gunfire.
Well, you may worry about your email and your online accounts being hacked, but what about your child's school? Well, the FBI says it's happening more and more. Schools across the country targeted holding personal information on children and extorting the schools. It is a frightening new predicament for those we trust to keep our children safe.
They wanted us to trust them that they wouldn't release any of the confidential information. Social Security numbers, Medicaid numbers, grades. I had one interesting comment from a parent in our parent meeting. Said, we don't care if our kids' grades get released as long as our kids are safe.
Tonight on the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, why schools are open to cyber attacks and what they need to do to protect your children.
And the warning about hoverboards is growing more dire tonight. Consumer watchdogs have announced new recalls involving several brands. One of them, Lazy Hoverboards, has been linked to at least 2 house fires this year. There are now also recalls for hoverboards under 7 brand names: Dollar Mania, Sonic Smart Wheels, Tech Drift, Digital Products, I Live, I Hover Speed, 4-Star Imports Go Wheels, Drone Nerds, and Salvage World. Did you get all that?
Got them all. Okay, new traffic lights on crosswalks are working along one of LA's busiest streets, this one right through West Hollywood. There are now 4 pedestrian crossings on Santa Monica Boulevard at Palm, Hancock, Westmount, and West Knoll. From this day forward, pedestrians will not be able to cross without a green light, and when they have a green, obviously, drivers on Santa Monica Boulevard will have a red. The lights will be synchronized with other crossings, and that's supposed to help control the flow of traffic on Santa Monica Boulevard.
All right, taking a live look at the Santa Monica Pier right now. Our 2 live Dopplers covering Southern California, and Fritz Coleman is tracking both of them in your First Alert forecast. Fritz.
All right, Colleen, we had some dark clouds hanging over the area today, upper and mid-level clouds, even some rain showers off the coast. Not enough to keep temperatures down. We stood in the low 80s in some of the warmer spots. Here's a look at the 3-day planner. We're going to build clouds tomorrow, and throughout the day tomorrow, you've got a 20 to 30% chance of some light showers, particularly if you live in upslope areas like the foothills of the mountains. We'll start about 9 o'clock in the morning in the mountains of Ventura County. As the evening progresses, we'll probably end up in the middle of the evening with showers in the San Gabriel Mountains. If you get rain, it will be no more than 1/10 of an inch. We'll recover to partly cloudy skies by Friday afternoon. Then over the weekend, you see the big bounce in temperatures downtown up 8 degrees. We're going to develop a weak to moderate Santa Ana wind. That'll be offshore winds, anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour, below advisory level. However, it will jack the temperatures up. It'll be warm and lovely. Some of the local canyons and passes will get some gusty winds. Then another equally minor rain chance late in the day Sunday into Monday. I'll have all that in my full first alert forecast in the 6 o'clock half hour. See you then.
She's a victim who took matters into her own hands. I'm Tony Shin. For the first time, how she helped catch a suspected serial burglar who also targeted local firefighters.
And coming up tonight in primetime right here on NBC4, it's The Blacklist at 8 o'clock, then a special Wednesday night edition of The Voice and Chicago PD at 10. And Colleen and I'll be right back here for the NBC4 News at 11. Saying that people need to be accountable, actor Terry Crews publicly named a talent agent that he claims groped him at a party last year. During an appearance on Good Morning America, Crews said he was assaulted by Adam Bennett, the head of the motion picture department at William Morris. The entertainer Crews says that Bennett groped him at a party and then he filed a police report. He says he shared his story publicly after so many people came forward and accused Harvey Weinstein of sexual misconduct.
Now, on behalf of hundreds of actresses, a woman is now taking legal action against Harvey Weinstein. The one-time Hollywood power broker has been hit with a class action lawsuit. NBC4's Ted Chen live in Manhattan Beach, where he spoke with the attorney who is behind this. Ted.
Colleen, this is a legal strategy normally used to target organized crime, but that's exactly what Harvey Weinstein and his former companies are accused of doing, organizing and banding together to enable and conceal criminal behavior. Attorney Chris Armenta has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of one woman who knows she's not alone, an actress who says Harvey Weinstein demanded she undress, and when she refused, he locked her in a stairwell.
She is stepping out there and saying that she is agreeing to represent and to speak for those women who are not able yet or not willing yet or may not want to later speak for themselves.
The lawsuit targets Weinstein and his two former companies, the Weinstein Company and Miramax, alleging a conspiracy to cover up his crimes and retaliate against his victims.
We believe that the defendants have for years banded together, and that's what RICO is meant to get at.
RICO is the federal racketeering statute often used against organized crime. Armenta says it enables victims to triple the damages they receive. It also allows them to share money equally as the Weinstein Company faces potential bankruptcy. She says the ultimate goal is to change an industry where one man has become a symbol of a larger problem.
This has been a long time coming. It's not just Harvey Weinstein, there are others. So I think we're looking at a large cultural shift.
Weinstein has denied any allegation of non-consensual sex. No comment yet from the Weinstein Company or Miramax. Reporting live from Manhattan Beach, Ted Chen, NBC4 News.